Guys, we need to talk about House of the Dragon, because this show has quietly rewritten George R.R. Martin's book in ways most people never noticed. A character erased completely, an execution the show wouldn't put on screen, a prophecy claim that doesn't exist anywhere in the source material. 20 times the show and the book go their separate ways, and today we're going through every one of them. Let's get into it. Number 20. The Missing Jester. Guys, there's no jester in the show. He doesn't show up once, not even as a background extra. It's like the writers never planned for him to exist at all. But in the book, he's a major presence. His name is Mushroom, a dwarf who performs at court under Viserys and later stays close to Rhaenyra at Dragonstone. Because everyone treats him as harmless comic relief, nobody's careful about what they say in front of him, and he ends up overhearing everything. Political plans, court gossip, secrets that were never meant to leave the room. He's actually the first person in the book to expose Rhaenyra's affair with Sir Harwin Strong. Not everyone in the story trusts him, and later historians question how much of what he says is reliable, but he's still treated as one of the key eyewitnesses to the Dance of the Dragons. The show just left him out entirely. Number 19. The Interrupted Coronation. The show goes big here. The moment Viserys dies, the Greens scramble to crown Aegon before anyone can stop them. Alicent tells Rhaenyra the news in person, essentially holding her prisoner while trying to bring her over to their side. Rhaenyra gets out, and then she and her dragon Melis tear through the coronation itself, killing people right there in the throne room. None of that happens in the book. The Greens keep Viserys' death secret for days, quietly locking in the loyalty of the other great houses before anyone finds out the king is gone. When the coronation actually happens, it goes off without a hitch. No interruptions, no chaos. The reason is simple. Rhaenyra and her dragon aren't even in King's Landing when Viserys dies. She's back home at Dragonstone. There's no one around to crash the ceremony. The dragon attack everyone was talking about after the episode aired, built entirely for the show. Number 18. Daemon's visions at Harrenhal. In the show, Daemon takes Harrenhal and basically starts unraveling once he's inside. He sees a younger version of Rhaenyra, the same Rhaenyra he later kills. He has a disturbing vision tied to his own mother. The castle seems to be getting inside his head episode after episode, until it's genuinely hard to tell what's real and what isn't. None of that happens in the book. Daemon takes the castle and that's it. No hallucinations, no unraveling, just a man securing territory and moving on with the war. There's also a structural reason it couldn't have happened on page, even if it did happen to him. Fire and Blood is written as a historical record, told after the fact by historians piecing together events. There's no way for a book like that to get inside someone's head and show us a private hallucination nobody else witnessed. This entire storyline was built for the show, from scratch, to give Daemon a psychological breakdown the book never put him through. Number 17. Aemond's obsession with his mother. Mention the Harrenhal arc to a House of the Dragon fan and you'll get a reaction. In the show, Aemond spends nearly the whole season fixated, not on the war, not on the throne, but on his mother. His scenes with Alicent get uncomfortable fast. How could I forsake my best and truest son? The city has fallen. You're all I have left. None of this is in the book. Aemond takes the castle and stays loyal to the cause. Nothing more complicated than that. There's no fixation, no strange undertone with Alicent, just a line describing him plainly. He helped me at great risk to his own person. He is a great knight. Not every change the show makes is a bad one, but this is one a lot of fans wish had stayed on the cutting room floor. A whole arc built around a dynamic the book never hints at. Number 16. Rhaenyra and Alicent's relationship. The show gives us two girls who grew up together, close enough to feel like sisters, before politics eventually drove them apart. You're always like this when you're worried. Like what? Disagreeable. That bond is what carries the emotional weight of the entire first season. That friendship never existed in the book, and the timeline explains why. Alicent marries King Viserys at 18, and book Viserys is much younger than Paddy Considine's version on screen. I intend to marry the Lady Alicent Hightower. Rhaenyra is only 8 at the time, so there was no shared childhood for the two of them to lose in the first place. The show built that friendship from nothing, then spent a full season showing us what it looks like to watch it fall apart. I know you don't have that desire within you. It's a relationship with far more emotional history than the book ever gave these two. If you're enjoying this breakdown, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Number 15. Rhaena and Joffrey. In the book, Rhaena keeps her word. She stays by Joffrey's side and looks after him exactly like she promised she would, long before anyone was watching to see if she'd actually follow through. It's not a dramatic moment. There's no big speech, no test of loyalty played out for an audience. She just does what she said she'd do. That quiet consistency tells you more about who Rhaena is as a person than half the bigger scenes in the book ever managed to. The show throws that out. Instead of staying, Rhaena leaves Joffrey behind to go track down a dragon of her own. And this isn't some small detour that gets forgotten a few episodes later. It reshapes the entire arc built around her. What was a story about a girl who sticks by someone even when it costs her something becomes a story about a girl chasing power instead. Same person, same starting point, same promise made with good intentions behind it. Book Rhaena honors it, show Rhaena walks away from it. And that one choice, leave or stay, ends up deciding pretty much everything that happens to her for the rest of the story. Number 14. Rhaena's life after leaving. The book doesn't just let Rhaena get by after this, it lets her live comfortably, the way you'd expect a Targaryen princess to live. She's got maids brushing her hair each morning, singers writing songs about how beautiful she is, knights entering tournaments just to have an excuse to fight in her name. There's an entire war tearing through the realm around her, and somehow none of it touches her. That's the kind of protection that comes built in when you're born into that bloodline. The chaos happens somewhere else, to someone else. The show doesn't give her any of that. Strip away the maids, strip away the singers, strip away every knight who might have fought for her attention. There's nothing waiting for her once she leaves. She's out there basically a commoner figuring things out on her own. With none of the safety net the book hands her without a second thought. Same girl, same royal blood, same last name, and yet two versions put her through completely different lives. One lets her float above the war, the other throws her straight into it. Number 13. Rhaena and Jeyne Arryn. The book sends Rhaena to the Vale as Jeyne Arryn's ward, and it's one of the few stretches in her story where things actually go well for her. She and Jeyne get close, and not in a forced or political way. They just get along. Rhaena settles into that life easily, treated less like a piece on the board and more like someone's actual family. There's no war knocking at the door during this part of her story, no betrayal waiting around the corner. She just gets to live for a while, which is more than most characters in the book ever get. The show scraps that completely. Rhaena and Jeyne barely trust each other on screen. Their scenes together kind of carry a tension that never really lets up, like two people circling each other rather than settling in. So a part of her story that was quiet and stable in the book turns into another relationship she has to manage carefully, another place where she can't fully let her guard down. It's a small detail in the grand scheme of things, but it fits a pattern with how the show treats Rhaena in general, always adding pressure, rarely giving her room to just exist. The book, for once, lets her have that room. The show takes it away. Number 12. Nettles. If you ask book readers what they miss most in the show, this name comes up constantly. In the book, Nettles is the mysterious rider of Sheepstealer, a dragon nobody else could tame. Where she came from and what happens to her both stay unclear, and that mystery is a big part of what makes her one of the more compelling figures in the story. She doesn't exist in the show at all. Instead, we get Rhaena attempting to tame Sheepstealer herself, and failing. Trading a more mysterious character for a simple one makes sense from a storytelling standpoint, but the backlash was real. A lot of fans felt Rhaena's arc didn't add much by giving Daemon a fatherhood storyline, and sequences like the three-dragon fight over Sheepstealer felt like a spectacle without much payoff. Plenty of show-only viewers liked what they got from Rhaena, though this is genuinely a split fan base, not a one-sided complaint. Number 11. Rhaena's role. In the show, Baela is the one with the major role in the Civil War, flying Moondancer straight into the fighting. Rhaena's part is quieter. She's sent off to protect Rhaenyra's younger children, kept away from the action, and later claims to be the rider of the wild dragon Sheepstealer. The book gives her a very different path. She spends years carrying a dragon egg that eventually hatches into a small pink dragon she names Morning, and that bond is what finally gets her into the sky, not a claim on a wild dragon nobody else could tame. That dragon, Sheepstealer, goes to a completely different writer in the book, a girl named Nettles, a character the show has never introduced. The show hasn't confirmed anything yet, but the way things are setting up suggests Rhaena is being positioned for a bigger role going forward, which likely means Nettles stays out of the story entirely. Number 10. The Conqueror's Dream. In the show, Aegon the Conqueror doesn't take Westeros just because he has the dragons to do it. He takes it because of a vision, a warning about the end of the world of men, brought about by what we'd now call the White Walkers. That vision gets passed down through generations, all the way to Viserys, and it's the reason the Targaryens believe they need to keep the realm united. The book doesn't give him that motivation at all. Aegon conquers Westeros for the same reason most conquerors do. He has the dragons and the power, and that's enough. No vision, no prophecy behind it. This wasn't a random addition on the show's part, though. It came directly from George R.R. Martin, added specifically to connect this story back to Game of Thrones and give the Iron Throne a deeper weight, tied to the larger series title, A Song of Ice and Fire. Number 9. The Others. This one gets a little messy. In the show, Helaena has a brief dream foreshadowing the White Walkers, and Rhaenyra publicly explains the entire Song of Ice and Fire prophecy to her people, out in the open. No ambiguity. That means, in the show's version of history, people knew the White Walkers were coming hundreds of years before Jon Snow ever set foot on the Wall. None of this exists in the book, and there's a good reason for that. It creates a problem the show never really answers. If a Targaryen queen stood up and told everyone this prophecy publicly, why did the entire realm forget about it for centuries? It looks like an attempt to smooth over some of the weaker plotting in Game of Thrones' final seasons, but it ends up creating a new inconsistency instead, one that reaches back and undercuts the earlier, more beloved seasons too. Number 8. The Battle of Rook's Rest. Both versions end the same way, but the road there is different. In the show, Criston Cole sets up an ambush. Aemond and Vhagar wait for a Team Black Dragon to respond to an attack on Rook's Rest. Instead, King Aegon and Sunfire show up, and nobody, including the people who planned the ambush, expected that. In the book, Aegon was never a surprise. He's part of the plan from the beginning, riding into the fight alongside everyone else rather than staying behind in King's Landing. The real difference is Aemond. In the book, he deliberately holds back before joining the fight, hoping to use the chaos as a cover to kill his own brother. And the book never gives a clear answer for who actually burns Aegon. With 3 dragons fighting in the same airspace at once, the source material leaves it ambiguous on purpose, which is exactly why readers still argue about it. Number 7. Mysaria's firing. The most common complaint about show Mysaria is that she's become too calculating, colder, sharper, and oddly focused less on the war and more on making Daemon's life difficult. It makes her feel like she's playing a smaller game than the one she's actually in. Book Mysaria is a different character entirely. She's Rhaenyra's Mistress of Whisperers, essentially the story's version of Varys or Littlefinger, running an intelligence network most people don't even know exists. Because secrecy is the whole point of her job, a lot of her actual story is lost to history. Fire and Blood is told from a historian's perspective, working only from what was actually recorded. The clearest difference comes down to one scene. In the show, Rhaenyra eventually fires her outright. "I am to inform you that your services here are at an end. You have served the Queen and the realm most faithfully." That moment doesn't exist in the book. Mysaria stays in Rhaenyra's service for the rest of her reign, trusted the whole way through. Number 6. Helena's death. George R.R. Martin actually wrote a blog post about this one, called "Beware the Butterflies," criticizing how the show softens something darker on the page. In the book, Helaena takes her own life after a crushing depression brought on by the death of her youngest child, Maelor, and the book doesn't hold back in describing her grief. In the show, Maelor is never born at all. Helaena jumps from a window before that child ever exists, so her grief plays out with no clear cause the audience can point to. The path is completely different, but the ending lands the same way, and most fans agree the show's version still hits hard, even without following the book's sequence of events. It's a good example of the show finding a different route to the same emotional gut punch Martin was going for on the page. Number 5. The Chosen One. The prince that was promised is one of the oldest prophecies in this world, the belief that Azor Ahai will return after a long winter to save humanity. It surfaces generations after Aegon's conquest, but it doesn't become widely known until Game of Thrones, when Rhaegar Targaryen is first seriously theorized to be the one it's talking about. In the show, Rhaenyra makes the claim early on, standing in front of her people and declaring that she's the second coming of Azor Ahai. By the season finale, she takes it further, publicly calling herself the Chosen One, and quietly, almost to herself, the prince that was promised. None of this exists in the book. Not once, publicly or privately, does Rhaenyra tie herself to this prophecy, and it's easy to see why the show's version raises questions. This prophecy wasn't even common knowledge in Rhaenyra's era, so she'd be making a claim almost nobody around her would understand, let alone believe. It's a deliberate addition from the showrunners, escalating across the season, and landing right as everything collapses around her. The point was never to make her look powerful. It's there to show her unraveling. A queen who's lost nearly everything, starting to believe her own myth just to keep going. The show wants you watching that shift happen in real time. Number 4. The Lord of the Tides. Corlys' injury sets off a real succession crisis in the show. With Laenor and Laena both dead, the claim to Driftmark falls to Rhaenyra's son Lucerys, and Corlys' own brother Aemond isn't having it. He stands up and challenges it outright. The true unimpeachable blood of House Velaryon runs through my veins. It's tense, it's dramatic, but it stays fairly civil as far as Targaryen-era disputes go. The book gives Aemond that same challenge, but the fallout is nowhere near as controlled. Rhaenyra doesn't argue with him. She sends Daemon to hunt him down, take his head, and feed what's left of him to her dragon. No trial, no warning, no room for him to walk it back. And it doesn't end with Aemond alone. 5 of his cousins had publicly backed his claim, so the king has their tongues cut out, one by one. So nobody in the family gets any ideas about picking up where Aemond left off. History remembers them as the Silent Five, which tells you exactly how effective that punishment was meant to be. Compare that to the show where Aemond makes his case, loses the argument, and walks away with his tongue still in his mouth. Restrained doesn't even begin to cover the gap here. Number 3. Laenor's happy ending. Season 1 hands out something this story almost never gives anyone. An ending that isn't tragic. Rhaenyra and Daemon work together to fake Laenor's death, which lets him quietly disappear from King's Landing and start over somewhere else with the man he actually loves, Qarl. Even Daemon, of all people, seems to respect it. You are an honorable man with a good heart. It's a rare thing. None of that happens in the book. There's no fake death, no quiet escape, no second chance waiting on the other side. Qarl kills him, straight up. The reasoning behind it depends on which account you trust. Some point to jealousy after Laenor moved on to someone else. Others suggest Daemon paid Qarl to do it as part of some larger plan to clear the way. Why are you in my father's hall? You have always looked down on me. Whatever actually drove it, the ending itself is brutal by comparison. No staged body, no vanishing into a new life. Laenor is stabbed to death at a fair, out in the open, with plenty of people around to watch it happen. Number 2. Alys Rivers' backstory. Book readers have been arguing about Alys Rivers for years now, and honestly, nobody's ever landed on a solid answer. She's usually just called the Witch Queen, and that name alone tells you how little anyone actually knows about her. No confirmed age, no clear origin, just this lingering feeling that she's got abilities nobody else in this world has, and that something about her doesn't add up the normal way. I still don't understand who this woman is. She's a lady and a maester of sorts. Even that description feels like a dodge more than an answer. The show actually commits to something. Alys, as it turns out, is over 100 years old. Her children, fathered during Harren the Black's line, were burned alive by Balerion during Aegon's conquest, and only one of them made it out. Alys tried to save that surviving child using methods most people would call forbidden, maybe even unnatural. It didn't work, but whatever she did in that attempt left something behind. A kind of power that's kept her looking young for 100 years and counting. She uncovered incantations more ancient than the land. She treated things that lived in the forest, but none of it could unmake what Dragonfire made. Dragonfire, it turns out, doesn't care how old your magic is. Number 1. Helena's choice. Blood and cheese is horrifying no matter which version you're watching, but the book manages to make it worse. In the show, the two assassins break in, already hunting for Jaehaerys specifically. When they can't tell him apart from his twin sister, they turn to Helaena and force her to point him out herself. What if we can't find him? It's a cruel scene built around one impossible identification. The book pushes it further. The assassins don't just corner Helaena somewhere conveniently. They break directly into Alicent's bedchambers, a detail the show cuts entirely, and wait there for Helaena to walk in with her children. And instead of one identification, they give her something far worse. A choice. Pick between Jaehaerys and her younger son Maelor, a character the show removes from the story completely. She picks Maelor. She saves him, and it doesn't even matter. Jaehaerys dies anyway moments later. Helaena never comes back from that, and she can't be around Maelor afterward without being reminded of exactly what it cost to keep him alive. That saving one son meant handing the other one over to be killed. They killed the boy. 4 words, and you can feel the weight of everything behind them. Guys, if you made it all the way to number 1, you're built different, because most people just watch the show and move on. But you wanted the truth behind it. And trust me, this is only scratching the surface of how deep these two versions of the story actually diverge. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what we're covering next. Drop a comment telling us which difference shocked you the most. Was it Nettles? Was it blood and cheese? Was it Aemond? We want to know. We love you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.